One Piece chapter 1182 just dropped and things are getting serious. So serious that even Zoro had to say, if we don't wrap this up soon, it's gonna get real ugly. Yeah, Zoro, the guy who's scared of no one. Even he feels overpowered after getting aura farmed by Emu and not lasting even 2 panels against him, which might be a new world record for any main character getting mocked in less than a chapter. Even Krillin versus Goku used to last longer, man. I mean, no wonder Emu is in his aura farming form called Nerona, and it also looks like all the knights are on steroids after getting Omen from Emu. In this chapter, we finally see Ragnir talk trash to Emu in his squirrel tongue, which not a lot of people can understand, to be honest. Loki versus Emu continues, but not for long, and we see Sanji finally making his move. I mean, it's about time. Oda treats him like earwax. Whenever he feels the itch, he just pulls him out, only to throw him back into the fillers again. But this time, it really looks like it's his time to shine for the land of giant beauties. He really said that, by the way. Classic Sanji. We also get to see more about Emu's abilities in detail. And I also got a theory about it. Finally, a new god is also revealed. The god of rain, Zaza. Not that Zaza which people smoke. In Japanese, Zaza describes the sound of heavy rain pouring or water rushing. It can also represent the sound of wind rustling through grass or leaves. So yeah, rain and wind makes you think about one guy. I'm pretty sure all of us thought about the same guy, right? So let's start the chapter called Zaza. The chapter continues from where the last one ended. Emu versus Loki. So quick recap. Loki slammed Emu into the tree of Elbaf while Emu was ranting some random stuff about Joy Boy and shouting, "Isn't that right, Joy Boy?" Then Loki sent him flying and used an attack called Thorheim on him, which honestly could probably destroy a whole navy fleet, but did nothing against Emu. Emu smiled and said, "You really have returned, Nidhogg." Like Nidhogg was his friend from the past. The story continues. Loki says, "I feel his presence, but I'm too big to keep track of him properly." I mean, of course, Loki is so massive that even gigantified Emu, who's already huge, must look like a small ant in front of him. Then Emu says, "Nidhogg, to think you and I would meet again in this world. Cough, cough. Traitor." Now pause. To be a traitor, one needs to be an ally first. And if we go back a few chapters, we saw Jarul explaining about a god of war in Elbaf who transformed into a great dragon and locked horns against the sun god Nika. Now we know that sun god is actually Luffy, and I think Loki is the reincarnation of the war god since they share the same fruit and will. So the sun god and the war god fought in the past, and since Emu is the true enemy of sun god, it all adds up. Joy Boy and Nerona were probably friends, but something happened which made Nerona make a deal with the devil for more power and absolute control over the world. Some people even say that Joy Boy took Emu's girl and but that's just a theory. Joy Boy and Emu fought. Nidhogg was on Emu's side, but in the end he betrayed him and took the sun god's side. The details can definitely be different, but I think that's the gist of it. Coming back to the chapter, Emu looks at Dragon Loki and Ragnir. Then we see that it starts snowing and he says, "Snow, of course. Lightning is born from colliding ice. Together, the synergy is exceptional." And to be honest, he's not wrong, because even in our world, lightning forms inside thunderstorms when wind carries small ice crystals upwards and forces heavier ice downward. The lighter crystals become positively charged while the heavier ones become negatively charged, and as they collide, they exchange electrons through frictional charging, and once this tension becomes strong enough to break the air's resistance, boom, a giant spark of electricity, lightning, forms to balance the difference. Okay, this was too much science, I know. Most of us didn't really pay attention to science in school, but that's the logic Oda is applying in One Piece. And this brings us to Ragnir, whose devil fruit likely caused these ice and lightning attacks. Emu says, "You are, as I remember, waiting all this time for a new master." And Ragnir is pissed. As always, I mean, he's pissed in every scene except when he's eating. He goes, "Gigi gigi 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 gigi." Yeah, you don't need to understand that, to be honest, because it was meant for Loki, and Loki understood. He says, "Okay, let's do this." Ragnir spits snow, and Loki follows up with his own attack, creating what looks like a combo between him and Ragnir. Ragna 5 arrows. Emu responds with his own attack called Zitsumizbru, whatever this is. which in Aztec mythology refers to celestial demon-like entities associated with stars. And Oda loves to play with mythology, we all know that. Then the eye circle behind Emu rises above his head, grows larger, and Emu says, Nova Eclipse. Boom. These devil bombs start raining down from the circle and slam into Loki so hard that he goes down instantly. Then we switch over to Bonnie and Lilith. They both wonder who this guy even is because they have no idea. He's basically the boss of the entire world government and the main boss of the series they are in. Then we see Sanji lying on the ground after getting kick-mocked by Emu. He wakes up and Bonnie says, Wait Sanji, your injuries are... But Sanji is determined. I can't back down, Bonnie-chan. As he remembers killing him, laughing and saying, Hihi, I don't need to deal with you now, Sanji. But honestly, it's crazy that you survived Emu-sama's attack. Killing him also says he is overflowing with power now, which tells you that this omen thing temporarily boosts the receiver's energy and power massively. Killing him then takes off, leaving Sanji on the ground, confused and broken. But then Sanji dashes forward and says, Luffy and Usopp admire this country. It's my personal duty to protect Elbaf. Till this point, I was like, man, he's serious for the first time in forever. This might be his moment. Then he says, because it's the land of giant beauties. And I'm pretty sure after reading this, your reaction was the same as Bonnie and Lilith's. Then we move to Owl Library. Robin says, to think this back door led to a underground passage. They are shocked because they thought everything was burned down, but that's not the case. Robin stands on Saul's hand and says, this hidden room is unbelievable. You saved the books and brought them here, Biblo. Now Biblo isn't just a random giant owl. He's the chief librarian of the Owl Library and he's like very old. He oversees everything inside and keeps the books giant size. And even Saul, who is a giant, says, I'm starting to think you are more of a mystery than I first reckoned. Which tells you that even Saul didn't know about this secret passage. Only Biblo did. And man, am I the only one who thinks this guy knows everything, like every secret in the whole One Piece world. He's just too goddamn mysterious. Then we get a map showing where all these events are happening. Classic Oda move, giving us a full battlefield layout so that we understand where every character is at the same time. Then in this next scene, we're at this cross. Summers takes control of a giant ship and calls his men. Hello, Summers here. No wait, make it Super Summers. Even he's feeling stronger than usual after getting omen from Emu. He says, I found a ship. Bring all the giant kids here. Then we move to the western village. We see Chopper treating Gerd's fingers, which was sliced by Emu earlier in the chapters. Gerd says, I should be treating everyone. I feel so useless since she's the doctor of her own crew. Everyone thanks Chopper for the treatment, and then Road, who's basically giant Sanji, starts simping again. Are you okay, Gerd Tasso? I humbly offer my fingers if you need a donor. And honestly, I think these constant Riz techniques are actually working, because Gerd replies, I've gained a newfound respect for you, Road. Then this man literally starts gushing blood from excitement. Gerd immediately says, don't get too excited, you have wounds. And Road replies, I'm high on Gerd Tasso. Yeah, my reaction was the same as Road's little brother. Then we see Zoro riding on Goldberg's shoulder like a giant Uber. He says, don't worry, my captain's motto is, my friend's country is my country. But now, pay attention, because what he says next is very interesting. He says, what's with those black flames? The flames Emu used turned into steel bullets and explosives. Now here's my interpretation. In literature, black fire often represents the burning away of innocence and hope. And that fits Emu perfectly. He wants innocence and hope to disappear from the world because he is the actual devil. This inner flame then transforms into external destruction, where psychological trauma becomes cold, destructive force. So basically, the black flame is like a void that consumes weakness and converts destruction into solid power. Then Zoro says, if we don't wrap this up soon, it's gonna get really ugly. Then we move to the western village port. Killingham says, Summers, I've done it now. I summoned something insane. For those who forgot, Killingham can turn people's dreams into real monsters and control them. But this time, he accidentally summoned what he himself fears the most. Summers, the same guy by the way who was acting invincible 5 minutes ago, immediately gets nervous. Tell me, you can control it. Killingham replies, well, it's a dream demon, so probably Bro is not sure. Summers says, what's done is done. We are running out of time. Where's Gunko? Killingham replies, I saw her on the way here. She looked dead. He probably saw her trapped in the ice and thought she was dead. Which makes me think that she might even betray Emu and join the Straw Hats. Then Summers says something really important. The Great Emu's body isn't meant to exist in this world. Then he says their main combat forces are here, along with all the forces that must be erased. Now, he said all the things that needs to be erased. Like everything that Emu is afraid of is here in Elbaf, which according to me are a couple of things. First, the sun god Luffy. Second, the war god Loki or the Nidhogg. Third, the books of Elbaf, which probably have info on his past and how he came into power, or even how to defeat him, and probably Bonnie too, since she can imitate the sun god Nika himself. Summers says, we must live up to expectations, Killingham. Killingham replies, of course. Then we move to the western village center, where all the giant kids are gathered. Killingham orders his dream monster to capture them. Suddenly, a massive water hand bursts into the building and grabs the children. Then, Killingham explains, for those of us born above the clouds, meaning the Holy Land, Merijua, which sits high above sea level. He says they've always feared water falling from the sky because they literally live on the clouds. Water falling from the sky is foreign to them. He also says they've heard stories not just about the D-Clan and Nika, but also about the Rain God, the monster who floods the lower realm with water from above. Then we finally see it, the Rain God ZAZA, a gigantic dream demon made mostly of water, looking like a woman with a similar ring behind her back, just like Emu and Luffy. She holds all the children in her hands. Killingham says, I'm bringing them over. Get ready, Summers. Then, next, we see Zoro leaving the village when he notices the chaos. Goldberg asks, should we go back, Zoro? But then Zoro sees Sanji rushing towards the village and says, no, it'll be fine. Then he shouts, don't screw this up to Sanji. And Sanji immediately fires back, right back at you. Man, this moment was so good. It showed that Zoro genuinely trusts Sanji to handle things on his own. While he goes to help Loki and Luffy, I love these little moments between Zoro and Sanji. They act like they hate each other, but deep down there's immense respect and trust between them. And that's where the chapter ends. There's a break next week, by the way. Now, about this rain god. Earlier in the manga, we were told there are multiple gods. The sun god, the forest god, the land god, and the rain god. Now we know Luffy is the sun god. We also know that there was a war god, which I think now Loki has become the war god. But forest and land are still unclear. But now we finally know the rain god's name is Zaza. Just like the sun god is called Nika. This could easily be another mythical zone fruit, or maybe something even bigger. And honestly, the candidates of this god of rain are already here. Some people think she looks like Vivi because of the hair and appearance. But Vivi doesn't have a devil fruit. We have never seen her have one, so I doubt it. The other obvious option is dragon. Every time dragon appears, there's rain and wind everywhere. So it really makes you think he could be the rain god. But then, why does this dream demon look like a super hot girl? Yeah, it's complicated. And that's the fun of it. Oda gives you tiny puzzle pieces and makes you think you've figured everything out. And then boom, the real answer is completely different. Day by day, we're getting closer to the truth about Emu and these gods. But it still feels like one massive piece is missing. And I think Oda is about to reveal it very soon. That's it for this video. Let me know your thoughts. Who do you think the other gods are in the current timeline? We already know the sun god. But what about the rest? Comment down below. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.